At 8:30 a.m. Monday, I decided to end my career with the Tulsa Police Department. It was not a spur-of-the-moment thing. Name's Elliot, Kenny Elliot. I'm a cop. It's all I know, all I'd ever thought I'd need to know. That changed when I learned a few months ago that I had a son, and that Carmen Garcia, the only woman I'd ever truly loved, was his mother. But there's more to it than that. I'm not exactly psychic. Then again, I'm the first to admit I don't really understand it all. Let's just say I couldn't go to Vegas and come back rich. But when the chips are down, I have a knack for coming out on top. I can't keep myself out of trouble, but in the heat of things, when the other guy makes his move, I have it figured out a split second before he does, whether it be a street fight or a case no one else has been able to solve. As you might imagine, I tend to be a bit unorthodox, and the structure of the department doesn't fit well with that. I'd worked a few cases, trying to make things routine, ordinary. But there was no getting around it. I was not the same person I used to be. Visions from the past haunted me, and memories of a tortured soul, a man whose identity was unknown to me. Various attempts to track him down had nearly exhausted me. Recently, I'd asked the medical examiner to send me photos of any John Does that had gone through the system within the past few months that remained unsolved. The ME had emailed me a list 2 days ago, and I was finally getting up the nerve to look into it. I leaned back in my chair and stared blankly at some old case files sitting on the floor of my office at the Tulsa Police Department. Hesitantly, I opened the email and then the attached file. The images ran across my computer monitor like a bad dream. On another click of my mouse, the nightmare became reality. There he was, the large man who'd stood beside my truck in the church parking lot and asked me the question that had run perpetually through my mind ever since. Do you have any idea what it feels like to die in someone else's body? The room became noticeably colder. I picked up the phone and dialed the medical examiner's office. "Yeah, this is Elliot. Is Longstreet around?" "No, but if you're calling about the file of unsolved cases, I can probably answer your questions. Chris asked me to do the research and put the file together." I stared at the monitor, studying the hideous image. "All right, Jordan. Photo number 8. Have there been any new developments, any leads at all?" After a pause, she said, "You would have to choose that one." I let the words sink in. I'd known this was going to be trouble and that it would be easier to just leave it alone, but I could no more do that than I could look the other way while a crime was being committed. After all, that's exactly what had happened. "Why do you say that?" "Because sometime between after this photograph was taken and the next morning when the night guard made his rounds, the body disappeared." "Disappeared?" "Gone." I increased the size of the image, paying particular attention to the man's eyes. In the photo, they were closed, but that's not how I remembered them. They'd been flat and lifeless. Any idea how something like that could have happened? "I'm afraid not. If anyone knows anything, they aren't saying." "Thanks, Jordan. I wish I could say you've been a big help." "Sorry, but you need to stop looking for people who aren't there." My defenses flared along with a touch of anger, but I reminded myself that Jordan had not meant it that way, that she didn't know enough about my past to have made that connection. "Was no one assigned to look into it?" I asked. "Just vanished? So no forced entry? What about the surveillance video? Who came into the building during the time the body was there?" "I don't have any answers for you, Kenny." "I appreciate your help, Jordan. Give my regards to Chris." I disconnected, then picked up the sterling silver picture frame that held photos of my son, Wayne, a 9-year-old who looked a lot like me, and his mother, Carmen Garcia.